Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 Senate elections as of today, the month of September, based off the latest polls from RCP or Real Clear Politics. But before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content, press like button, share this video, and if you are interested, we have memberships, you can find a link to that in the description section. Now back to the topic of today's video, I'm going to be filling out the Senate map as of right now, based off the RCP polls, the latest ones. And let's start off with the state of Wisconsin. We're going to be focusing on the key swing Senate seats only, not the solid blue or solid red ones, to make this video a whole lot shorter. So right off the bat, there are currently 10 toss-up Senate seats up for grabs for either party, the Democrats and the Republicans. But at the floor, the base for the Democrats is 42 Senate seats, and the very least, the base floor for the Republicans is 48 seats. So the Republicans, based off this map, the map literally favors them. They already start out with an advantage. They only need like 2 or 3 more seats to actually flip control of the Senate. So to start off with Wisconsin, the latest poll has Tammy Baldwin, the incumbent Democrat, up by 5 percentage points. And yes, indeed, she is an electoral juggernaut. She always wins by sizable, comfortable margins in this state. And not only that poll, you scroll down, you take a look at other polls before that from this month of September. September 8 from CBS News. Baldwin's lead over Hovde is up by 8%. And he is a little bit rich, but still he's not that well known. He is fundraising a lot in terms of dollars and ad spending, but I don't think that's going to be enough for him to overcome Tammy Baldwin's support. Like I mentioned earlier, she's just an electoral juggernaut. And you take a look at Trafalgar Group, a little bit more of a right-leaning pollster biased, I would say. She still has a lead of 6 percentage points. And another poll has her up by 6 from CNN. And the one before it from last month, August, Rasmussen has her up by 10 percentage points. These are all good numbers for her and not good news at all for the challenger, Eric Hovde. So therefore, the latest poll has her up by 5 percentage points. I would say it's a lean margin. You can argue that's likely, but for the sake of this video, I'll fill it in as lean for right now. So I happen to agree with this, not with the margin, but with the victory. I do think Tammy Baldwin will win her Senate race against Eric Hovde, but not by 5 percentage points, which is what the latest poll says. I think it'll be slightly closer by probably 3 points ultimately at the end of the day, but regardless, it's still going to be a lean margin. So now the next state is going to be Pennsylvania, in which Bob Casey, the incumbent Democrat, is going up against David McCormick, who, by the way, David McCormick lost the primaries to Dr. Oz in the 2022 midterms. And also, Bob Casey's an electoral juggernaut, just like Tammy Baldwin is from Wisconsin. But the latest poll from CBS News from September 8th this month, very recently, has Bob Casey up by 7 percentage points, a likely margin. And maybe if you could say that's an outlier. The one before that from Trafalgar has Bob Casey up by 1 percentage point, much closer. And the one from CNN from September 3rd has it a dead tie, evenly split at 46 to 46%. So the fact that CNN says it's a tie means that the race is probably close, as we all know it is. But the latest one has him up by 7 percentage points. That's likely for the incumbent Democrat Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. Is more than likely going to win re-election. And then the next state is going to be Maryland, which this might be shocking to a lot of people because people don't think it's going to be close. But also Brooks is only up by 5 percentage points on her opponent, Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan is obviously running for the Senate. He's originally the governor here, I believe, and now he's switching to run for the Senate. He is very popular as governor, but it's different when you're running for Senate. Those two completely different races, so they're not really the same thing. But still, it shows it's a tight race, and this might shock a lot of people because people think that Alston Brooks is going to, single-handedly win this race by a pretty large margin. But the polls suggest the exact opposite. It's going to be close. The Gonzalez's research has her up by only 5. And the one, before that, Fabrizio and Anzalone has it a dead tie at 46 to 46%. So overall, Angela Alston-Brooks' lead in Maryland is only a lean margin of either 5 points or it's just a dead tie. So if you average that out, it's actually a lead of only 2.5 percentage points from these two polls. But we still don't know, we don't have a lot of polling data from this state, but the ones that we do have showed a very close, narrow race. So at the end of the day, Maryland is going to be a lean margin, extremely closer than what most people, I would say, have it as right now. And then the next, competitive swing Senate race in this election cycle is going to be Michigan, in which the latest poll from CBS News from September 8th has Alyssa Slotkin up by 7 points. Keep in mind that she is not the incumbent, but also in the 2022 midterms, the polls from Michigan actually underestimated the Democrat Gretchen Whitmer, who was running for the governorship. And I understand this is the Senate, but sometimes they actually might underestimate Democrats. And I know 2022 was supposed to be a red wave. Maybe Republicans can learn from their mistakes, but maybe not, because for some reason they still somehow elected Carrie Lake in the Republican primaries for Arizona. So maybe they did not learn their lesson. I don't understand how she possibly won the primary. She's just such a terrible candidate. But that's besides the point. Slotkin is defeating Rogers by 7 points from the latest poll. And from Trafalgar, the one before that, she's up by 4. CNN, she's up by 6. The Hill and Emerson, she's also up by 6. So consistent leads and trends go in favor of the Democrat Alyssa Slotkin in the state of Michigan. That's going to be a likely margin for her at the end of the day of 7 points from the latest poll from RCP. And then you have the state of Ohio, in which people are keeping a close eye on. This might be the closest Senate race, which I do think the state of Ohio will be the closest in terms of the Senate. I do think Brown will be defeated by Bernie Moreno, who's a Trump-backed candidate. He has been endorsed by Donald Trump. And people thought that J.D. Vance wasn't going to do as well as he did. Well, he did win by 6 points, and people thought Tim Ryan was a strong candidate. He ended up getting defeated by a sizable amount. And Ohio's a very red state. I don't see a lot of ticket splitting. I don't understand how a lot of people can vote for Trump at the same time show for someone like Bernie Moreno. And the same thing goes for the state of Montana. Montana's way more redder than Ohio is. I don't expect people to go for Trump at the same time go for Jon Tester. I think that's almost impossible. But the latest poll from the Hill and Emerson as of September 5th has the incumbent Democrat Senator Bernie Moreno up by 2 percentage points. And by the way, speaking of Jon Tester, he is refusing to endorse Kamala Harris because he knows his seat is very much in jeopardy. He's more than likely going to lose, but we'll get to Montana after some of these states. But as for Ohio, Sherrod Brown is leading in almost basically every single poll on RCP. He's up by 2. Rasmussen, who typically overestimates Republicans, shows him up by 5. So that's not good news for Bernie Moreno. I do think the polls will be wrong this time around, but this is not my prediction. This is based off the polls alone. Therefore, Bernie Moreno will lose, actually, to the incumbent Sherrod Brown. He's going to win by a lead margin, holding the seat for the Democrats, but it's probably not going to be enough because this map really favors Republicans. And then the next Senate seat is Florida, in which the latest poll from the Hill and Emerson has Rick Scott up by 1 point, defeating Powell, the challenger from the Democratic side, as of September 5th. That is not good news. These are scary numbers for Tim Scott. This is not good news for him. Florida, as we all know, is a very red state. You take a look at the 2022 midterms in which Marco Rubio, who ran for Senate, won by literally 13 points. And then you have a poll suggesting it's going to be decided within 1 point for Rick Scott. That's not good. Maybe you can say that's an outlier. The one before that has him up by 4, and the other one has him up by 4 as well. So that's going to be considered a lean margin for the incumbent Rick Scott in the state of Florida. It's not supposed to be this close. And if these are the real numbers, which I don't think they will be, I think they are underestimating Rick Scott. But if these are the real numbers, that is not good news for him as we all know it. And then the next state is going to be Texas, in which, just like Florida, it's a very red state. I don't expect it to be that close. But the latest poll from the Hill and Emerson from September 5th has Ted Cruz, the incumbent Republican, winning this state by a lead margin of 4 percentage points. And he actually wins by even more in the poll before that from the University of Texas. He's up by 8, a greater amount than that. And then one at the very bottom has him up by 2. I would say that's basically an outlier. So Ted Cruz is more than likely going to win this state by a lean margin. I also agree with that as well. I don't think Colin Allred can do anything to really shake up this race at all. And then you have the state of Montana, which we are now going to talk about. Fabrizio and Binder from September 4 has Tim Sheehy up by 6 percentage points. And this is a major polling shift because you take a look at RCP just a couple months prior to, right now, in June or May or July even, in which Tim Sheehy was actually losing. John Tester was actually winning according to the RCP polls, but things just completely took a 360, and now all of a sudden Tim Sheehy is going to defeat the incumbent, as I do agree with that, by a pretty decent amount. I think it's going to be probably like 4 to 5 points. And then the latest poll has him up by 6. The one before that from Rasmussen reports has him up by 7. And then the Hill at the very bottom, as you can see right here, has him up by 2 percentage points. So that these are all great numbers for Tim Sheehy. And then you have the state of Arizona, in which Ruben Gallego is going to be probably defeating Kari Lake, as we all know it. She's just a terrible candidate. And the latest poll from CNN, as of September 3rd, has Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, up by 3 percentage points, a lean margin. I agree with the margin exactly. I do think on election day he will win by 3 points on the dot. That's my estimated margin guess if I had to make a prediction. Probably a lean margin. Kari Lake is just that bad. She lost the governorship to someone who didn't even campaign, guys. Katie Hobbs was not even to be seen, and she still lost to that. You think she's going to beat Ruben Gallego? Definitely not. Also, he served in the Army, and a lot of those, I believe so, and a lot of those John McCain-style voters probably like that. Therefore, I do think Arizona's Senate race will go blue to the Democrats this time around. And, the polls before that from the Insider Advantage has them up by 4. The Hill and Emerson has them up by 7. Noble Predictive Insights has them up by 7 as well. Even Fox News, you guys, has them up by 15. This is insane. Kari Lake will probably be defeated once again. And the next state, the last and final one before I end off this video, is going to be Nevada, in which these are disastrous news for Samuel Brown. The latest poll from CNN, guys, has Jackie Rosen up by 10 percentage points. She is another electoral juggernaut. There's actually a lot of electoral juggernauts for the Democrats in the Senate, just like Tammy Baldwin from the Rust Belt in Wisconsin and Bob Casey from Pennsylvania as well. So according to the latest poll, she's going to win by 10 points. I just don't believe that. But, it's consistent. These are not really outliers. These are consistent polls. Insider Advantage has her up by 10 as well. The Hill and Emerson has her up by 10. Those are 3 polls I just named that has, Jackie Rosen winning by double digits. This is not good for Samuel Brown or Republicans whatsoever in the state of Nevada. And even Fox News, guys, has Jackie Rosen up by 14. These are unbelievable numbers. She has never won by this great of an amount ever. And the New York Times, CNN even has her up by 9 percentage points. The Cook Political Report has her up by 18. These are disastrous news if you are a Republican in Nevada for the Senate. Therefore, she's going to win by a likely comfortable margin. So, does it really matter, though, because the Republicans still flip control of the U.S. Senate, taking the majority with 51 seats to the Democrats' 49 seats. The map is literally in their favor. They literally can't afford to lose Arizona. The Republicans can afford to lose Nevada and Ohio and still take control of the Senate as long as they flip one seat, and that is Montana. And surprisingly, Maryland is going to be close according to the latest polls from RCP. So this is the Senate map as of today from RCP. This is not my prediction. This is just based off the latest polling data. Let me know what states you agree with or disagree with in the comment section down below. And don't forget, one last final reminder, to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Press the like button, share this video. And if you are interested, we have memberships. You can find a link to that in the description section. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching.